Today's video breaks down the Steel Mace Shaolin, both the unique grip and the unique tension field that allows this movement to train our lats so effectively and to create amazing transitions in our flows. I've never taught this move until right now, and this video is an excerpt from my full-length class that is available just to my fellowship students. So enjoy and master the Shaolin. Now, I want us to focus on two things in particular as we learn the Shaolin position. One is the actual grip, because you'll notice we're not actually gripping the mace like we normally would. Instead, we're wrapped around it. And the second thing I want us to pay attention to is a tension field. And again, this is different than how it usually is. If we do a shield, we're having that tension field and trying to squeeze the hands towards one another, right? Very simple, all things considered. However, in the Shaolin, we are actually going to be creating a tension field by driving the elbow forward, in my case, towards you who is watching this, and my hand and thumb driving backwards. So I'm actually externally rotating my shoulder, packing the lat, dropping the shoulder down and back, and also engaging that serratus anterior, which I mentioned a few minutes ago. And so that's what I'm gonna start this class with, by teaching you those two essential things, the grip and also the tension field. So we're gonna dive into that. Now, the first thing I want you to do before I actually have you join me with the Shaolin, we're gonna do a few reps in a moment, is I'm gonna get a little closer to the camera, and I want you to see what this looks like. So you'll see that I had one hand at the tail of the mace and the other arm at the top of the mace. Now this is the unique bit. Like I said, we are wrapped around the mace. So instead of gripping, I'm wrapped around, and the mace comes against my forearm like so. And so you can see that a really big key is that I wanna have as much of my forearm against the mace as I can. I don't wanna have a Shaolin like this because I lose all that contact with the mace and my forearm. And I just have the back of my hand to control the mace. And so what I want to do is have it against the forearm, this nice angle, and then I also want it to be pressed against the back of my hand, as you can see. And so I like to actually have my thumb and forefinger out, like so. Sorry, I'll flip around this way, like so, and the mace head in between them. And that is so I have the surface area right behind my palm, right behind my hand, to control the mace. And that allows me to have much more control over the mace. And that's how you can do really cool transitions like that. Hopefully that was in frame. Do one more, like so, because I have all of this contact with the mace right behind the hand. So as we're doing this, in just a moment when you join me, you gotta be paying attention to wrapping the arm around and making sure that the mace is between the thumb and the forefinger behind the hand. And that's gonna give you the maximum amount of surface area of your body touching the mace so that you can control it that much more easily. And one final point I'll say here is, and I've talked about this at length before, we're trying to control the balance point of the mace. That's how we flow with it, because we have to be able to control the balance point. And so the point of this is that even though I'm not directly holding the balance point in Shaolin, I have a contact point near the head, and I have all this contact along the forearm. And so even though I'm not directly gripping the balance point, I'm still able to control either side of the balance point, which is essentially just as good. So hopefully I've been in frame for all of this, and now you can join me. So you can come into warrior stance, both hands bottom of the mace. We're gonna go really nice and simple here. So I said that there are two things we're focusing on for our grip. One is to wrap the hand around so that the mace is against the forearm, maximally, like so. And the second is I want the head of the mace back behind the hand between thumb and forefinger, right? Like so. So you can wrap the arm and then bring it out to the side. And you can have a high angle, you can have a lower angle, it's really up to you. But I do want to make sure that my hand controlling the tail of the mace is at about my navel. That's very important, just for the control of it. So that's one Shaolin. Come back to center, drop it down. Opposite hand, snakes around the mace. Hand is near the head of the mace, near the globe, and the forearm wraps around the mace handle. Shift to the side and control. And there you go. Bring it back. We'll do one more on each side, then I'll talk about tension fields. So bring the hand up, wrap around, forearm making contact with the mace, hand near the head of the mace, dropping out to the side. And then one more, bring it back down, back to warrior stance, Opposite hand wraps around the mace, gripping the globe of the mace firmly, letting the mace come against the forearm and shifting to the side. Very nice. And you can bring it back up. And so that's the basic grip of the Shaolin. And so it's very important to practice this, and we're gonna get plenty of practice in today's class with this grip. Now, the second thing I mentioned that's very important as we're understanding the Shaolin is the tension field. The tension field I mentioned, again, has me driving elbow forward and thumb back. Now, you can even set down the mace for a second with this. The movement we're essentially creating with the Shaolin is a block. That's what it essentially looks like. And if you've never done karate or a martial art before and you have no idea how this feels, imagine a bodybuilder flexing a bicep and then drop it down some. And as long as this feels nice and solid, you've basically got the position down. Now, the Shaolin, being that it's essentially a block, you wanna make sure that it feels really nice and strong. And so I wanna make sure that I have my shoulder down and back, not up high. I don't wanna be shrugging my shoulder up. I wanna have it down and back, nice and controlled, creating that stability. And so additionally with that, I wanna have the hand, as I was saying, and the thumb to be pointing back to do this, and then elbow comes underneath. And in this way, you can also even just squeeze your lat and your serratus anterior if you can feel those, and kind of get a sense for what that feels like. And you do it on either side if you'd like. And that's essentially the tension field we're trying to create. And as you will very obviously notice, you can't, send the mace back too far because you have the hand at the tail and because your arm is wrapped around it. So as you do the tension field in the Shaolin, you're driving the elbow under, hand and thumb going back. And if you join me here in this position, using the same grip, wrapping the arm around, hand near the head of the mace, and you squeeze, even just a little bit, you will notice that your lat engages pretty substantially. And that's a pretty cool phenomenon because there aren't that many moves that we can do with the mace where the lat gets this level of engagement because we're creating that tension field and the mace is providing the resistance against it. So that is the tension field. Now we're gonna wrap up this section of this class by doing just one more round, and we're gonna, again, just do a few repetitions of the Shaolin to either side. And this time we're gonna check off the grip, and then we're gonna add the tension field. And as we do this tension field in this round, only add about, call it 15% tension. You don't have to squeeze it as hard as you can, just add a little bit to create that stability through the grip. So from warrior stance, one hand top of the mace, I'm gonna wrap the arm around, maximal surface area of the forearm with the mace, and then globe against the back of the hand. Shift to the side and add that tension field. Thumb back, elbow under, and then bring it back to the top. Wrap the arm around, bring it out, create the tension field. Bring it back, wrap, bring it out to the side, tension field. Bring it back, wrap, create that tension field. Now, one more thing as you're practicing this, doing a few more repetitions with me, is you'll notice that you can maximize your tension field as you're holding the grip here, but you still have a little tension as you go back to center. And even as you begin your grip on the other side, you can add a little tension while the mace is vertical. And in this way, you're creating stability through the mace before it's even in the full Shaolin. And this is really important for any kind of flow because we want to make sure that we're exerting control over the mace as we go through any movement. So you can do one more, wrapping the hand, creating that tension field, nice and strong. And there you go, that is the Shaolin. And now we are going to move into a couple of really, really cool transitions, essentially drills that use the Shaolin. We're gonna do a lateral swing into halting the Shaolin. And then we are also, after we do that for a few moments, we're gonna practice the wrist roll, which is a very important movement when we use the Shaolin. It's one of the more common ways we can get in and out of it. Just one more thing for you before you take off today. If you enjoyed this tutorial teaching the Shaolin, you can watch the entire full-length class, including the additional transitions, drills, and flows right now. The level 1 class covers the basic Shaolin, level 2 class covers the Shaolin 0, and flow mechanics, which is my personal favorite, covers cool transitions that allow us to use the Shaolin in flow. All of that's available right now, along with all the other benefits of joining the fellowship. You can join by clicking the link down below, and I will see you there. May the mace be with you.